Several minutes of commercial-free football starts now.
Here are the Purple Mortgage Guys.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Purple Mortgage Guys. Tanner, Goose, and myself. We're just three mortgage guys, do home loans, but we love to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. And so far, guys, it has been an exciting season with a lot of, I guess, dramatic games is a good way to put it. One score games, we hang on at the end. Yesterday was no different. Built a big lead in the first half, up 20-3 at one point, 20-6 at halftime. And then ultimately came down to a final defensive stand and a Cam Bynum interception to seal the deal. So, guys, interested to hear what your takes are for the day. I know I've got some opinions myself. Tanner, start with you. Same old story, or we got anything new today with the Vikings?
No, the game didn't really look any different than anything we've seen all year. I was hoping after the first half that they were going to put together a full four quarters and finally have a game where we just looked dominant from start to finish, but unfortunately they didn't. So they looked horrible again in the third and played well again in the fourth quarter when they needed to. It's just, this really does just feel repetitive. I feel like I talk about the same thing every single week. I'm happy we're 10-2, so I can't complain about that, but I'm just wondering how long that's going to be. I don't feel like that's a sustainable thing going into the playoffs.
I think we all have that same thought.
I don't know if there's ever been a team that's just been that lucky from start to finish throughout the entire year that actually won or made a Super Bowl. So I just think at some point it's going to give out, and they're going to have to rely. These two units are going to have to rely on each other at some point to win important games down the stretch. So
it's the weirdest 10-2 feeling ever, right? Like,
yeah.
The Cowboys last night, the Eagles yesterday. I mean, they looked impressive. We snuck out another victory, but it was a really, really solid Jets defense. But we did make Mike White look amazing again. So I think that's the concern. Goose, what's your take from the game yesterday?
Yeah. Well, one, to kind of Tanner's point, I'm just kind of fact checking it now because I saw someone comment that this year's Vikings team kind of reminded them of the last year's Bengals. And I knew that they snuck out a win against us week 1 with the Dalvin Cook fumble. They lost week 2 to Chicago. They lost against Green Bay, the Jets, the Browns. They got blown out 41-16. There's their Cowboys game. Got blown out by the Chargers, lost to the Niners in overtime, lost to the Browns again. So kind of interesting to look at. Makes me feel a little bit better that and maybe some of those losses are close wins. At some point, I feel like when they do it every single time, it's a little less about luck and just kind of the way that they are.
They know how to win.
My big takeaway, and I want to put this on record for fans, but at the very least myself, when I get frustrated again with the Vikings, I want to go back and look at this because week 1, we held Green Bay to 7 points. The Eagles, we gave up 24, but the offense had really bad turnovers, didn't move the ball. Time of possession was 23 minutes to 36 minutes. Lions, we sealed the game with the Josh Metellus pick. Saints game, we held the Saints to force a 61-yard field goal that was missed. Bears, Cam Dantzler strips the ball to win the game. So there's 2 at least that are like they ended the game with a turnover. Dolphins, we held them to 16 points, 2 interceptions, 1 fumble recovery, and 6 sacks. Cardinals held the Cardinals to 3 in the fourth quarter, ended the game on 2 consecutive sacks with the defense on the field. Commanders, Shannon Sullivan tackles Gibson inbounds, so the clock expires, win the game with the defense on the field. Bills, we all know the big plays there. The defense scores a touchdown to keep them in it. Pat Pete seals the game with a pick. Walk off for the defense. Cowboys, just a gross game all around. I think that's kind of equally bad on the defense and the offense. Patriots, they get the ball with 53 seconds left. Start the drive with a sack and a loss of 9. Milks a lot of the clock. Defense walks off that game. And of course, yesterday, Cam Bynum with an interception, game over. So I would argue that the defense clinched more of our games than our offense put away. And some of these, when I'm looking at the box score, our last like 4 drives are punt, 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 and the defense clinching it. So as much as I get sick of Donatel saying, well, yards don't convert to points, the guys are making plays on the defense, and the amount of times where I feel like we can put away a game on offense and we don't capitalize on it, I kind of want to give our defense a little bit of a break and hold our offense a little bit more accountable. I know they were up against a really good Jets defense, but the amount of opportunities we had, and either Kirk missed a pass or someone, made a mistake. I just feel like everyone is so hard on the defense, and I don't feel like the offense deserves all this praise while the defense is kind of getting put through the ringer.
So write that down, Tanner. Goose is officially Team Donatel from here on out. So, you know what
That's
I figured
my long
out?
rant.
You know what I figured out? When they get in the red zone, we were amazing yesterday, right? Well, it's hard to play 20 yards, 30 yards off the ball when they're at the 5-yard line. So they just condense everything and then it works out. So just that easy. They run out of field. That shell, it doesn't fit anymore. So they were really good in the red zone. The Jets struggled for a second there, or a few minutes. I thought, you know what, we could lose this game 21-20 on 7 field goals. That's the way it felt. But then they ultimately, put it in the end zone. And 486 yards though, Goose. And they were close. They were very close to taking the lead there. And to your point, the defense made the stop, but they were very close and had multiple opportunities there. Tanner, do you agree with Goose on that? Or is there more self-scouting to do going forward for the defense?
On which part?
That the defense ultimately we don't like the way it looks, but they're doing their job.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're coming up. They've been coming up big all year, and times when we need them the most. I mean, they do deserve a lot of respect for coming up big in the red zone. I mean, Greg Zuerlein, 5 for 5 on field goals yesterday. So they're not giving up touchdowns, but they're not good. I just don't know how to. Eventually, like, stats are stats, and like even I think points per game, I think we're still on the bottom half of the league in points allowed. I don't understand how I mean, Mike White has been pretty good, but almost 500 yards of total offense is just completely unacceptable. It's just.
And what happened? I couldn't really.
You got a third string running back who's running all over you, and
what changed in the second half though? Because the first half, the defense was putting pressure on. Interception first series of the game. We were up big at half, but then what changed? Like the third quarter was kind of a complete disaster for both defense and offense.
Yeah, I can't say one thing specifically for me, but I don't know if you guys saw that Zadarius Smith played a lot more in the first half than he did the second half.
Did he? Okay, I didn't know.
I don't know if he necessarily would make that big of a difference because he's been so quiet the past few games. I think he's playing with an injury, but the pressure seemed to be not quite as heavy in the second half as it did the first half. I mean, they came out firing those first few drives. I was shocked. Donatel was sending all these disguised blitzes. Shannon Sullivan was coming off the edge. That's the stuff I want to see. That's the stuff I've been wanting to see all year. And I feel like that's when we've been generating most of our success. And I mean, we even got a turnover out of it. And I'd like to see more of that going forward. It kind of felt like we went away from that a little bit, but
yeah.
I think you're playing with a lead. You want to make sure that it takes them longer to score. And then you look at it, our offense scored 20 points in the first half and then 7 in the second half. I think our defense really feeds off our offense. And when it's 3-and-out punt, like you're going to give up some drives in the NFL. So I look at it just as much as we only scored 7 in the second half as we gave up 16.
So let's I want to get you guys' take on this. So the final 2 minutes of the game, we obviously thought they were going to score. We use all 3 timeouts to preserve time for Kirk to come back and lead us to at least a field goal to potentially tie or win the game. Obviously, that was the right play. They end up not converting on 4th and goal from, what was it, the 1. We get the ball back. They have all 3 timeouts. We can either get a first down and win the game, or we can run it up the middle and burn all the timeouts. Offense has not been playing well. Kirk seems to have one of probably his worst games of the year, and a win anyway. Do you guys like the idea of run it 3 times, give them the ball back with no timeouts, but they still have a minute and a half? Or would you have rather tried to get the first down there? Obviously it worked out, so you can't really second guess anything there, but had it not worked out, and a hold in the end zone is a safety, I get that. A lot of bad things can go wrong, but if we had got 1 first down, the offense does win the game there, Goose, and you don't need the defense at the end to do that. What were you guys thinking in real time as it unfolded? Obviously, it's easy to second guess and to say it worked now, but I was a big, I was really wanting them to try to get the first down and to be a little bit more aggressive there, even though they didn't have much space, but just to end the game there. What were you guys thinking there?
I would have liked to see them try to get the first down as well, Brent. I don't necessarily hate the idea of running the ball 3 straight times. I actually wanted them to run the ball more yesterday because I felt like we were getting pretty good chunks of yardage with Dalvin Cook all day. But that third play call, I remember I texted you guys on that. Justin Jefferson wasn't even on the field.
No, he came off.
So as a defense, I mean, you see that. Granted, it's not surprising that it is a run, but you're not even like giving any depth to having a threat on the field of the possibility that JJ is a decoy. This might be a pass, and ended up doing a toss on 3rd and long, and you're like very deep in your own territory. I hated that play call, and I find myself doing that with Kevin O'Connell a lot this year. I feel like he has the most questionable play calls sometimes in situations, and I don't, like I said, I don't want to make it sound like I'm hating on him. We're 10-2, and I think he's obviously the answer, I think, for this team, but I just don't understand his thought process through some of that. And I kind of wish a guy like Chris Thomas would ask him that in a press conference. And I mean, what's your thought there? Why was JJ not on the field?
Yeah. Well, it's hard to second guess when it works and you're 10-2.
Yeah.
Right? But had we lost that, like even the worst case scenario, they come, blindsided around Brandel and strip sacks Cousins and they fall on it for a touchdown. That would have been awful, but there still would have been a minute and a half then to get the ball back and go score yourself. Like, I don't know. It seemed to me like that was Zimmer there at the end, and it worked out, and it probably nitpicking way too much, of course, but
I think if the ball's on the 8, I want them passing and trying to get the first down up against the goal line. I was like, quarterback sneak. All I can see is Brandel or Ingram getting beat by Quinnen Williams, and either the safety or because safety you get 2 and the ball back. Field goal. The guy. Every field goal kicker against the Minnesota Vikings is all of a sudden Justin Tucker. So
I know, but
the way Will Lutz hit his 60-yarders, and then I have never seen a field goal go that far above the crossbar from 60 in my life.
Oh, I know.
Yesterday.
That was insane. But Goose, this is where I think you differ from me and maybe Tanner as well. Like, you were okay punting it back with a minute and a half. You knew they would get the ball at midfield, knowing that they had been moving the ball. Like, you really thought they were going to make a stop at the end. They
had 1 touchdown all game. So knowing that they had to get into the end zone, I felt I didn't love it, but I felt more confidence in our defense yesterday than our offense.
Man, I didn't feel confident in either in the second.
Kirk had 173 yards. Delvin had 86. Kirk was missing throws all game. And our defense had the turnovers, a couple sacks. I mean, and they held them to field goals, which
I'm
is
not
their
talking
whole
about
motto.
Going for it on 4th down though, Goose. I'm just saying try to move the ball.
Yeah, I didn't have any confidence in them to do it. I think they stopped the clock with an incompletion, but all I could think about was holding in the end zone, making it 24-27. Now they have timeouts left. Now they have the ball again. Our offense doesn't have a chance of getting on the field. I wanted to make them use their timeouts. I was hoping that we could spring a run for a first down would be obviously ideal, but I just didn't have confidence in Kirk dropping back against that D-line. I didn't at all.
Have you ever seen our team get more than 2 or 3 yards when everyone knows they're running the ball? There's no way we were running for a first down there.
The closest has been with O'Connell when we run a little jet sweep and or that fake fullback dive toss. But no, I didn't expect to. I think he had to play it conservative there. Like I said, if we have the ball in the 8, drop back, pass, throw, get aggressive. Not on the 1.
All right. Well, they won the game. I guess you win the argument. So what else did you guys see from yesterday? We talked a little bit about Kirk. I feel like he knew he was up against Tanner. You talked about probably the best secondary in the NFL. It felt like either he's fighting off some sort of injury or not feeling 100%, or it was in his head like, I am not going to throw a pick, because some of those throws were uncharacteristically bad from Kirk yesterday. So
Part of me, to your point, I do think it's the best corner tandem in the NFL. I don't know if about like complete secondary, but I do think it's the best corner tandem. But part of me thinks, just in the back of my mind, I wonder, as much like grief and hits that he's been taking here with the past couple of weeks with Blake Brandel at left tackle, it makes me wonder if when he takes that snap, if he just expects it and that just affects his accuracy a bit. Because he did take one shot in I think it was the second quarter where you could see him wincing on TV. He was on the sideline, looked like he was in excruciating pain.
Yeah, he got smoked pretty good a few times yesterday.
So I don't think, because he was missing throws before he even took that shot. I mean, he started the game 0 for 5, I believe. But it just makes me wonder, as a QB, if you know you don't have as much time as you've been receiving all season with a guy like Christian Darrisaw, who's been arguably the best tackle in the league. If a guy like Blake Brandel, you have to get this ball out quickly. If that just,
I'm sure it
affects
does.
your accuracy a little bit.
Even when there's not pressure, there's some phantom pressure behind you.
Yeah.
He had several to Thielen. He had that one to Hawkinson that just a little more touch on.
That was the worst one.
That one that JJ dropped. I mean, by JJ standards, that's a catch all day long, but it was thrown behind him as well. He was not on yesterday for whatever reason. So
yeah,
but easy one to get back on track against Detroit, right? In that defense. So look at the past 5 defenses they've played. It's got the Jets, the Patriots,
Bills,
the Cowboys, Buffalo, Washington. Like, that is a gauntlet of defenses, and we put up quite a few points other than that Cowboys game, Tanner, that we don't want to talk about. So,
and that's why I try to I try to withhold some criticism from the offense a little bit. I am really disappointed that they haven't played better this year because of how much talent they have on offense. But when I look at the string of defenses that we have played here within the last 30 to 45 days, I feel like some of that is sort of expected with a new coaching staff.
I think the Jets were allowing 13.5 points for the last 6 weeks or so to their opponents, and we put up 27. So that's,
I feel like the Vikings offense is the new Matt Asiata of the Minnesota, or of the NFL. Like, we play the best defense in the league, we're going to put up 28. We play the worst defense in the league, we're going to put up 28. Like the last time we played the Lions, 28. After they've given up 40 to Seahawks and 38 to the Eagles. And I mean, we get our 28 points.
Well, let's look at our bold predictions that we had on Friday. Goose, you said 2017 victory. Hawkinson will have a touchdown. Tanner said a 28-21 loss, 3 turnovers. And then were that 3 forced turnovers by us? We were going to force 3.
Yeah, I said 2 picks and 1 fumble. That's
very close. I had 23-21 win and a Jalen Reagor touchdown and three receptions. So that did not happen as well. But what do you guys think of my man, Jalen Reagor? Like, I feel like he should be on the field a little bit more.
Yeah, I've been saying that all year. I wish Jalen Reagor would touch the field more. I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for him to get anywhere from 5 to 10 touches a game, and you're probably going to see some pretty significant plus yardage out of him.
He's fast.
I don't understand why they don't utilize him more. I feel like anytime he has touched the ball this year, that's exactly what he's shown. So
yeah,
it's been good. The calls though.
He looked really explosive yesterday.
All right, we're going to get into our rants and raves here for a few minutes. One thing you loved, one thing you hated. Let's start with some positivity, some raves. Tanner, kick us off with a rave.
I forgot to think about this actually.
Goose, start us off with a rave.
Yeah, go.
So I've already hit on it a lot, but I'm going to say being opportunistic on defense, taking advantage of mistakes. There's a couple that they left on the table with Caleb and Cam running into each other, but like when we need it most, I'm starting to feel like I can count on the defense. Just to give the offense a little bit of credit, I think on an offense where on a day where the offense was struggling, I think Kirk's scramble again, like the fact that he's going to that in those big time moments has been huge. That first down led to a touchdown drive, so I think that was huge. KJ beat Sauce on a 10-yard route for I think a fourth down conversion. Yeah, it was fourth down conversion. So I guess both sides of the football being opportunistic when you need to make a big play.
Tanner, what do you got?
I agree with that. I think I'd like to give props to the defense for once again showing up when we need them the most. And I think just the fact that they had so many red zone stops yesterday was huge. So that's my +1. I think my +2 would be Patrick Jones. He came in place and they actually flipped spots, so I don't understand, but Za'Darius Smith seemed to not play much in the first half. Patrick Jones was playing hot in the first half. He had a couple key run stops, tackle for losses. I think he had a sack. And then they flipped spots and Za'Darius started playing a lot more in the second half. And Patrick Jones didn't play quite as much in the second half. So that's not to say I think he should be taking snaps away from Za'Darius, but I would like to see, I think, more snaps for Patrick Jones going forward, a little bit more rotation. So
All right.
That's my other rave.
My rave would be we'll throw one out to Ryan Wright. I think he's having a phenomenal year.
The punter
flipping the field. He's the only punter in the league without a touchback right now, guys. He's having a great year. So they don't get the love. They're like a loan processor. Nobody says anything until things go wrong. So
yeah.
All right, what's your rant, Goose?
My rant is the second half offense. We had another rough third quarter. Kirk missed a lot of big throws that I think was the difference. Otherwise, I think KOC KOC always says the right thing. And I feel like in his presser after the game, he got another question about the lulls. And there was a split second where he's like, well, if you hit that throw to Hawkinson and you hit this play, then those probably aren't lulls. And then he kind of caught himself like, oh, I'm kind of throwing Kirk under the bus here. So, but I got to call a better game. And so I think that I think yesterday's lulls were probably 95% on Kirk Cousins. So I'm confident that he's going to bounce back. But if I have to pick something, I think Kirk needs to be better in these games. And we're only getting closer to the time of the year where you can't have a bad game and just chalk it up as a bad game. You gotta put it together.
Tanner, you got a rant?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that again. Mine would be a combination of things. If we're just going off this game specifically, I would say questionable play calling, I guess, in certain spots. I also didn't like earlier in the game, I felt like when Kirk started 0 for 5, Dalvin was getting 5 to 6 yards of pop on the ground, and we went away from that. I just don't understand why KOC does things like that. So my combo rant would be KOC's play calling yesterday and Kirk Cousins just not being Kirk yesterday. I know he's better than that, but he definitely didn't play how we needed him to yesterday.
No, I would agree. I'll go rant on whatever happens at halftime. Switch it up because it's not working. The third quarter looked like garbage. Maybe they all take a nap at halftime. I don't know if they get a little tryptophan or what's going on. There's some NyQuil. Like third quarter has not been good, guys. So that needs to change. And I think we're all in the same mindset. Like 10-2 is great, but teams in the playoffs, you can't get away with that more than 1 week. So
do you guys think Zim lets last year's team, or I guess any of the Mike Zimmer led teams, celebrate these kind of wins? basically all 10 of our wins this year?
Probably not.
At least the way that we've been celebrating them, like guys partying around. Like I feel like I could see Zim being like, "What are you guys so happy about? We look like crap out there."
It's kind of like the Detroit game last year when Kirk came up to him and like shook him.
Yeah,
Get off me.
you like that?
Yeah.
I got two things I want to touch on real quick before we're done.
Okay.
One, I just feel like this is officially the end. It just doesn't feel like it's going to get better. Are we officially like Adam Thielen's not wide receiver 2 anymore?
Yes.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
You know what the warning signs are? When you start running backwards at the 10
I mean,
yard
he's
line.
done that. He's done that forever, though. Even back like to 2015 and 2016 when he was like our punt returner. I think he had a span of like 3 games where he actually had negative yardage because every punt he was fielding, he was running backwards.
If you watch that highlight, though, he catches it at the 10. He can fall forward to the 5 so easily, and he runs back to like the 14.
And he doesn't have the athleticism that he did 5 years ago when he could outrun someone.
Yeah,
I'm
I just don't know if
convinced-
it's quickness and speed, but I got to watch the All-22 again and see if he's actually separating from people, but I just can't believe he's averaging like 2 to 3 catches a game. It's just not
He's
even
not-
wide receiver 2 numbers.
He's not getting targeted really either, but maybe he's not getting
Getting open.
any space. Yeah. JJ's hands, though, holy cows. Like that guy could be in a car accident on the way to the game and probably still play. Like,
Yeah.
you guys know what I'm talking about? Where he got, I think it was a 15-yard penalty tacked on top
Oh,
of
yeah.
it.
He had 2 of them.
And
I
he
think he had
jumped
2
up
where he
before the
took 2
flag
shots.
was even on the ground and was like first down. So
Yeah, he's amazing.
what else are you going to hit on, Tanner?
The only other thing I wanted to talk about real quick is just the NFC playoffs in general. I feel like after watching yesterday's games, San Francisco doesn't really concern me quite as much anymore. I don't really know what to expect from Brock Purdy, but I would just assume that a 7th-round quarterback probably isn't going to carry you very far.
Did you see this morning, though? Baker Mayfield got cut from the Panthers. You think he'll end up there?
I think it's a possibility, but I feel like
seems like a coincidence.
I feel like there has to be such a large handful of teams in the league that aren't going to pursue Baker strictly because they know how he is. Just as from like a personality and like character standpoint.
Purdy
With
looked
a team,
decent though.
Yeah. With a team like the Niners, I almost feel more nervous about going up against a quarterback like Purdy, who's just going to be conservative and take care of the ball, than I do like someone like Baker. Like Baker's going to give a game away.
So I guess my point to this is San Francisco, obviously their defense is going to keep them in games. They're the best in the league, ranked towards the top of almost every category. But does it feel like Philadelphia and Dallas are, 1A and 1B of concerns in the NFC? I don't really think anyone else really scares me.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think we could lose a couple games. And we've said this for a few weeks. I don't know that it matters anymore because I think we're locked into that 2 seed. So it's all about how are we going to be playing better in mid-January than we are right now and playing at our best and being healthy. Like I don't think a loss even to Detroit prolongs the division another week or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like we just got to be healthy and playing well in
for sure
month and a half. So what do you think Philadelphia hangs on to the 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're playing way too well. I don't even know if they'll have another loss on their schedule. I don't think it.
Goose said lock it in though on Friday. He said lock it in. We're the 1 seed.
Yeah, I'm going to rely on Dallas. Outside of Dallas, they play good football. The Eagles play good football every single week. It's wild.
At Dallas in week 16 is their only tough remaining game on their schedule. They have to go to New York next week and play a Giants team who's played like crap the past 3 weeks. At Chicago, they host the Saints at home. I don't really think that should be a concern. And then they finish the season. That could be a loss against the Giants just due to them maybe resting their starters, but I don't foresee 2 more losses on their schedule. I think that 1 seed is locked in for them. So it's definitely the 2 or 3 for us.
I think we're a 2 seed and we could have 2 games at home in the playoffs. So
I'll take it.
Well, there we have it for today. Detroit on Sunday at Detroit, noon game, Kirk's little homecoming. So feel like that'll be a fun one again. Guys, we'll be back again Friday. Have a great week, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon.